Hello, I'm Colin Kirkpatrick from Emtelle UK Limited. I'm International Business Development Manager. Today I'm going to talk about 8 ways to capitalise and save costs on fibre to the home provision. First of all, you have to look at the 2 sets of passive costs when installing a fibre optic network. The first one is the component costs. Subduct blown fibre, the means of getting fibre optic to a home. Then you have the manholes, covers, cabinets, areas to access the fibre optic cable. Then you have the fibre cables themselves, splice and branch closures to get the drop to each home. And then you have the internal cable routing systems within the homes. And then you have all the small accessories. There's tube connectors, seals, marker tape, fibre connectors, and splice protectors. Also, you've got the installation costs, part with regards to the level of cost when it comes to a fibre to the home installation. In that includes planning, surveying, digging, drilling, ploughing, installation of the ducts and the cables. Then there's the fibre preparation and splicing, testing, internal cabling, and then at the end, when everything is working, there's the customer quality and customer satisfaction that you need to keep to a high standard. In the next page, if you look at the passive component costs of a fibre to the home build, the microducts, etc., are a very small part of the installation. So if you can reduce ducts and cables by 25 euro cents a metre, it's not going to have a huge impact on the cost of a fibre to the home network. A piece of fibre can cost 10 euro cents a metre. A piece of 32mm duct can cost 80 euro cents a metre. But when you're trenching, digging in the ground, this can cost 16 euros a metre. In a city, it can cost 100 euros a metre. That's why it's very important to plan and provision what you are exactly putting in the ground to make sure it works for today's provision, for next year's provision, and for provision in 10 or 15 years' time. The next page talks about changing the components to make them less labour intensive to reduce the installation costs. Surveying and permissions, you want something that's very easy to plan around, very easy to colour to your own colouring requirements, so it's very easy for contractors to identify in years to come. Emtelle recommend that blown fibre is one of the best solutions for this. Again, blown fibre is also good for the installation part of digging, drilling, ploughing. There are many blown fibre products out there that are adapted and tailor-made for these different installation techniques. One installation cost in all fibre to the home builds is the pulling and the blowing of the ducts and cables, and also the preparation and splicing. Emtelle's new Quick Link and Quick Connect products are pre-fibred, pre-connectorized inside a duct, or if you want, you can actually blow the pre-connectorized fibre into the ducts as and when a customer requires a connection. This takes away a huge amount of resource, training, and capital expenditure on blowing and termination equipment. It also gives a very good quality installation because you know all the fibre connectors in your network are factory polished, so they're or spliced with a fusion splicing machine further back in the network. So you're going to get maximum longevity of your network. Okay, rule number 1. Future. Will there be a fibre shortage in the future? There are companies who have mentioned that there may be a cutback on fibre accessibility in the coming years from 2017 onwards. One reason for using blown fibre is you can install a microduct network to each home via basically a plastic tube that is within a bundle or a single microduct. Then if there is a fibre shortage, at least you can still invest in providing pathways to each home. Then you can blow a fibre in, which takes merely a matter of minutes to blow between a cabinet and the end customer. So you should really only dig once. So you need to provision for all your high fibre count cable for feeding different areas in a fibre to the home build, and also install your single microducts or your microduct tube bundles, which have the drops to go to each home. Second is what fibre count do I need to install? There are different ways of provisioning for fibre to the home for certainly your high fibre count cable. In microducts, so you just have enough to provision fibre to each manhole, and then you can blow fibre cable into these microducts in the future. But if things change, if people will require 4 fibres in the future, or if some houses get turned into apartment blocks, you need to provision for all that in your network in the future. That's why Emtelle recommend that you should possibly look at installing a few extra microducts in your feeder network. This can cost as little as 59 euro cents a metre to add 2 extra microducts that can give you an extra 2 times 144 fibre cable capacity, which is not a great deal in cost when you look at the cost to add additional cable by digging at 16 euros per metre. Number 3, can I have inbuilt flexibility? Point-to-point networks are seen as a superior solution for fibre to the home for the future. Building it on day one can be expensive, but if you are a PON network, something to think about is, could you just put in some spare duct capacity for your linkage between the exchange and the manholes that provision the fibre to the home? If you put some additional duct capacity in there on day one when you build a PON network, if you want to change over to point-to-point networks in the future, you can then add your additional fibre capacity to give you that point-to-point solution. On page 4, how do I make best use of existing infrastructure? In Europe, there are over 10,000 kilometres of existing 40mm duct that have not been fully utilised. Traditionally, in the 80s, 90s, a fibre cable was blown into these ducts. Now that fibre to the home is really picking up in Europe, these ducts can be used for a wider range of operations for feeding fibre to the home. Instead of installing a single cable into a duct, you could actually install multiple tubes in a tube bundle into a duct for actually using it for provision for fibre to the home. You can install a 12-way microduct with 7mm tubes that can provide drops for 12 homes, or if you use the microducts in both directions, you can get 24 home capacity. There's also the Emtelle multi-foo system, which has 24 microducts pre-installed with fibre bundle. Again, if you use that in both directions, you can get 48 customer drops from one 40mm duct. Then the final solution on this page is the Emtelle Retriever system. This can have up to 48 2-fibre cables pre-installed, so you can actually do 96 fibre drops from one single 40mm duct. This actually fits into a 32mm duct or smaller as well. So this gives huge flexibility and provision for fibre to the home from a single 40mm duct or smaller. Okay, page 5, it's cost for customer drops and lead to cash. When you want to do your drop to the home, you want it to be done quickly, efficiently, and it's got to be done at a low cost so you can get a good return on your investment. Drilling has been used in many countries. The drills are quite expensive. Emtelle have a new system called the CRI drill. It runs from a standard battery drill, a flexible steel drill that is guided with a piece of 18mm duct that you see in the centre picture being held. So the drill is bent to go horizontally underneath the blockwork that's shown there. So this drill comes in 1 metre length. You drill 1 metre, then you add another 1 metre length of rod on, and you can drill up to 3 or 4 metres. This may not be ideal for all drops to the home, but if you're within that 3 to 4 metre area for the drop to the home, it could save you 50, 100 euros per drop to each home, which is a huge saving using a simple tool that costs less than 250 euros. Emtelle recommends that the microducts that are used in this system are reinforced with some FRPs in the wall of the microduct. This makes the microduct more spade resistant and just gives a huge amount of strength if you want to bury at shallow depth, or if there's a risk of people digging through it when they're digging their garden. Another way to reduce costs is to keep the civils cost as low as possible, but keep the quality to the standard expected. For fibre to the home builds, there are still operators who are digging trenches which are 250 to 300 millimetres wide. That is a traditional way, which has been done for many years. A new way of doing it is to use narrow trenching, 75 and 125 millimetre wide. You can go down to 250, down to 500 millimetre depth. This reduces the installation or digging costs by as much as 40%. If you look at the speed is much faster, the trench is narrower, the backfill materials cost a lot less. So it's something to really look at if you're looking to do a fibre to the home network. Okay, number 7 is how to make a network future-proof and cost-effective. In this page, we've added various solutions. Emtelle have a lot more specific solutions for other ways to install fibre to the home, but these are ones that we feel and ones that are being used in various countries around Europe and the rest of the world. So first of all is when you install microducts, you should really have at least 50 to 20% more microducts than you actually require. And that gives you the opportunity to upgrade in the future. Or if you have a maintenance tube and a fibre goes down to a customer, you can use the spare tube to install a new fibre and then blow out the damaged fibre in the initial drop. Next one is using a simple system of just using different coloured microducts. It makes planning much easier, and it makes the installation and the termination of the fibres and microducts much easier in the future. Third product there is to maximise the use of existing duct space. If you can get 48 or 96 two-fibre cables down a 40mm duct instead of one high fibre count cable, that gives you a huge amount of flexibility for provisioning fibre to the home in the future. To access the microducts, all you do is window cut the 40mm duct, then you window cut the tube bundle inside. The fibre bundles are also mentioned here, where Emtelle have a 2 or a 4 fibre bundle for fibre to the home, and we have an 8 or a 12 fibre bundle that can be blown into our 3.5 or 4mm bore microducts. These can be used for feeding fibre to point solutions, or even for feeding fibre to the business applications or to basements of apartment blocks. Emtelle have our FlexForm products as well, which is the bottom left picture. This is a microduct that offers flexibility, and it's very narrow as well, so it can fit into narrow trenches. A range of boxes as well for branching fibres and microducts from the main link of homes passed, so you can easily get access to do your homes connected phase of the build. Also, Emtelle are supplying pre-connectorized fibres now with SC, APC or LC APC connectors, which can be blown into existing 3.5 or 4 millimeter microducts, or they can also be pre-installed into our Quick Connect product range. Okay, section 8 is just discussing about having a dedicated individual pathway to the home. Build has to be installed cleverly. If you have a dedicated pathway from the cabinet or the closure to each home, that means in the next 20 or 25 years, you have the ability to change out a fibre optic cable to each home, because you don't really know what's around the corner, and it is good to have a plan or a backup plan where you can change your whole network if need be in the future. Having dedicated pathways means you can pre-install fibre to reduce blowing time and costs, easy to upgrade and maintain, and play a pre-connectorised fibre. If the fibre is pre-installed, there's no blowing costs, and pre-connectorised has the performance of a spliced fibre, but without the contractor on site having to do the splicing. Final page is just the Emtelle DNA: engage, listen, innovate, and deliver. Emtelle are keen to work with you on any of your fibre to the home projects. Please get in touch with us via our website at www.emtelle.com or www.fibretothehome.com.